Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. Boost! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available summer 2023, the album, Dad, Shimmy Shimmy, AF, Rock on Gold Dust, Boost, Woman. Happy Thursday, how are you guys doing today? Okay, so I have lots to talk about today, lots of things to address. Let me put on a little bit of lip gloss first before we get into all of this. Several issues that people have brought to my doorstep that feel that I should address, and I feel that I should address. So, a couple different things I want to talk about. First of all, I want to address this ring light. I think it is time, this is not serious, but I think it is time for me to buy a new ring light. People keep on saying, Peter, your ring light is too bright. Peter, your ring light is too dim. And so no matter if I put it up or if I put it down, today it's actually a little bit lower than it was. I feel like it casts shadows all over my face. So yes, I need to get a new ring light. I'm very, very aware of that. The other thing that people have been asking me is if I'm going to respond to Dustin Dailey's video that he just put out today. I do plan to do a response to Dustin Dailey's video, but I plan to do a response to the entire series once the series has come out. As of right now, I think that he plans on the series being 3 parts. And so I will come out at the end of the entire 3 parts being out, and then I will do a response to that. And just share my thoughts about that, because I know that people know that I was around during that time, that all of that stuff was going on, and they want to know what I think about that, and so I think that's only fair, so I will come out and I will do that. The other thing I want to say, and yes, I am going to be talking about Adam Mcintyre and Colleen Ballinger today in this video, but before I get to that, I just want to say something. You know, yesterday, I kind of did this, like, impromptu piece on my video at the beginning where I was talking about recovery. For those of you that don't know, I've been sober for 28.5 years. I'm actively involved in a 12-step program. I have a sponsor. She has a sponsor. I work, you know, the steps. I actively involved in meetings. That's not the only way to stay sober. There are lots of ways to stay sober and to get sober, and I respect anybody out there no matter how they do it, right? But I said in my video yesterday, for those people that are sober family members, please sound off in the comment section below. And I just have to say, like, I say that, you know, in, I don't know, every 5th or 6th video I'll say something like that, right? I was overwhelmed yesterday by the amount of people that said that they had 26 days or 26 hours or 26 years. I mean, there were so many people that sounded off in the comment section yesterday talking about their sobriety dates and how long they had been sober, and that, you know, some people said that they were opioid free for this long, and some people said they hadn't had a drink in that long, and they were sharing their stories. And it was just such a cool experience to read the comments yesterday. And that is the reason why I share my story over here. You know, is just to plant the seed so that there are other people out there that feel that maybe one day they can do that too. And I actually got one comment on my video. It was the only one like this that I saw. And the person said, I'm not ready yet, but your story really inspires me, and reading these comments really inspires me, or something to that effect, right? And I think that that's probably the most important comment that I read, because that is why I share my story, and that is why I encourage you guys to share your sobriety dates in the comment section below when I talk about recovery. For the still suffering alcoholic and addict out there, you know, every 8 minutes in the United States, an opioid addict dies, right? And that's huge. That's a huge issue. And that's why the United States is referred to as the United States of addiction, because people are dying left and right. And a lot of their deaths are not categorized as addiction because of different ways of them happening, and so they're, you know, writing them off as other kinds of deaths that aren't directly related to addiction. When you look at the rates of people that are dying, you know, people that were fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers and neighbors and students and artists and attorneys and doctors, and possibly artists and attorneys and doctors and whatever, you know, out there, who, whatever you wanted to be, whatever you dreamed to be, and these people's lives are stunted by addiction. You know, it just, when you really look at that, and when you've been to as many funerals as I have been for people that have died from addiction, and you've seen how many lives it can ruin, you know, and in the wake, I think it's something like for every addict or alcoholic, there are 7 to 9 people that are directly affected by their use. And you think about that, right? And you think about, for those of us that are getting sober, and I said in my video yesterday, you know, we're not a glum lot. We have a lot of fun. And in fact, one comment said, I have more fun now sober than I ever had in my life using. And I think that was my biggest fear before I got sober, was that, like, once I got sober, the fun was over, you know? And that just is not the case. And I have such an amazing life today. This is something that my old sponsor used to say, and I've stolen it from him. And that is, I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. And I absolutely do, you know? From everything from being able to get on video and make YouTube videos, and that you guys are nice enough to watch, which I get up every single day and I get to do something that I absolutely love, and I'm so thankful to you guys for watching my videos and allowing me to have that life. To my marriage with my husband, to my relationships in my life with my dad and my stepmom, to my cousin, to my friends. You know, I have just the most amazing friends in my life, and I don't have a lot of friends. I have a few friends, and they're loyal and they're trustworthy, and they tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear, and they're supportive, and they're there for me when I need them, and I feel so blessed to have that in my life, you know, compared to 28 and a half years ago when I had a lot of friends and not a lot of dependable people, and I wasn't a dependable person either, you know. And so I look at my life today, and I said something yesterday, and when I was watching the video back, because I typically watch the videos back on this channel before I post them, when I watched that video back, like, it really brought tears to my eyes. I said something about, if I had known, or I didn't know at that moment in time when I got sober, that my life was going to completely pivot and change as a result of that moment. And, you know, it's so weird because even though it's been 28 and a half years, it's like I can still remember that moment of, you know, waking up in a treatment program and not wanting to be there. And that was not my first time at the rodeo. I had been to treatment programs many, many times. I had many people try to help me get sober. I had, you know, whatever, on and on and on. And I can remember that last time waking up in a treatment program and being scared to death, not wanting to be there, wanting to go home, and happening to just walk out to the nurse's station to check myself out. And the nurse at the nurse's station happened to be my neighbor, who I didn't even know that she worked in this treatment facility, right? And I said to her, like, I need to get out of here. And she looked at me and she grabbed my hand and she said, you're really, really sick. She said, please stay. And I didn't even really realize how bad it was, I don't think, you know. And years ago, I read the book Beautiful Boy, and by David Sheff. And it's been made into a movie, but I think the book it's much more superb. And it's about how a son's meth addiction affects his father and their relationship, and all the stuff that the father does to try to save his son. And I remember, like, as soon as I got done with the book, I called my dad and I said, have you ever read this book or heard of this book, Beautiful Boy? And my dad was like, I mean, it's been out for a long time. And my dad said, oh yeah, I read it years ago. And I said, well, how did you hear about it? And he goes, oh, I don't know, like on the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or something like that. He goes, but I read it like as soon as it came out. And the book is really about how this father learns over time that whether his son is going to die from meth addiction or whether he's going to live and get sober, he really has no control over that. And that's kind of the mantra of recovery. Like, I don't have the power to get somebody sober and I don't have the power to get somebody drunk. And the father learns that over time. And so what he learns is the power to set limits and boundaries to have a healthy relationship in his life, and that hopefully his son will get sober as a result of that. And my dad did that, like, you know, and I think today the reason that I'm sitting here is hugely in part to my dad, you know, and his ability to set limits and boundaries and say, I'm done. My dad was so angry at the time that I got sober. He was so angry with how I had used him and treated him and things like that, and my stepmother as well, that he was just done, you know. And so when I was talking to him about this book, I said to him, because the father throughout the book is so scared that his son is going to die, and I said to my dad, I said, was that what it was like for you? Now, you have to remember, at the time that I read this book, I was probably 22, 23 years sober, I don't even know, 25 years sober, and, I mean, it had been a long time, right? And so it's hard for me sometimes to go back and remember what those days were like. Sometimes I have clear glimpses of it, sometimes I don't. But I said to my dad, is that what it was like? And he goes, that was exactly what it was like. Flash forward, we were having a birthday lunch, he and I, like we went out to dinner or out to lunch for my birthday, and we were talking about, you know, back then and all the things that had happened. And I said to my dad, you know, like, do you think that if I had kept on using, and I don't even think I even got the sentence out, and he looked at me and he said, you would be dead. And I said, I mean, he didn't even miss a beat. And I was like, you really think that I would be dead? He goes, absolutely, you would be dead right now. You know, and so I think about that, and I think about the fact that, but for the grace of God, I'm not a statistic. And it makes me really sad to even say the word statistic, because those are living, breathing people that have lost their lives to addiction, and their families have been forever, you know, affected by it. And so if I can share my story, and that can maybe give somebody hope out there that one day they can do it too, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not 6 days down the road, maybe not 6 weeks down the road, but maybe 6 years down the road. And by you sharing your sobriety dates in the comment section below, if that gives somebody hope that they see other people are doing it, maybe I can do it too. The possibility that we're saving one life out there is huge to me. It's huge, and it's really, really powerful, you know? And I just want to say thank you guys for, you know, bridging that gap and being willing to share. So, you know, you guys shared so deeply some of your stories on there, and weren't afraid of your anonymity to come out and share your stories about your sobriety. And I'm so thankful for that. And I'm so thankful that the comment section of my video yesterday was such a warm and welcoming place. There were so many people that said, like, I'm not an addict and I'm not an alcoholic, but I'm an ally. There were so many people that said, this comment section is making me so happy to see all of these people, you know, put their sobriety dates down there. It was really a cool moment for me to see all of that. And that's because of you guys, you know? And we're all just one big sober family trying to put one foot in front of the other and get by and have an amazing life. And that's because, for me, of my sobriety, and I'm so grateful for that. So thank you guys for being part of that. All right, now I want to talk about the whole situation with the Adam Mcintyre and Colleen Ballinger thing that's going on online. For those of you that do not know what I'm talking about, I would highly suggest going over to Adam Mcintyre's channel. He has made, I think, 2 videos recently at this point, and a video that he made several years ago that he references in these 2 videos. And he has come out with a lot of allegations towards Colleen Ballinger based on group chats that he was in and personal conversations that he had with Colleen Ballinger. I've watched both of the videos. There is a lot. There's a lot. There's tons and tons and tons of evidence in there. Tons of evidence that I'm not really sure how she's going to come out and try to explain this all away. I really, at this point, I have no idea. So I think it is important, before I get into this and kind of share what happened today and why I'm making this video today, to say that I think you guys know I don't love making videos about really dark subjects on my videos or on my channel. I do think it's important, okay? I think it's important from time to time to have these conversations, especially when it's getting tons and tons of attention and it is something that needs to be talked about. What I have wavered with this situation, and like I just talked about James Charles in a video the other day, so for me not to come out and talk about this on the heels of me just talking about James Charles the other day and his allegations, I think it is... I can't use that as an excuse. What I was waiting for, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to make 4 videos, you know, a video called Adam comes out with allegations towards Colleen Ballinger, and another one called, you know, Adam follows up with second video, and another one called, you know, Colleen Ballinger responds or whatever. I didn't want to make this into this drama series of me covering it, because to be really honest with you, this does not feel to me like drama, okay? This feels to me like Adam is getting the validation that he has sought after for years and years and years. And it also feels to me, to some degree, and I will tell you that I've checked in with Adam just today, because I reached out to him, and I'm going to read you the messages. He said I could do that. It feels to me, to some degree, that he himself and other people are having to relive this traumatic experience that they went through. And I think that's the scariest thing to me. And so, in talking about this in a video, I want to make sure that I'm not just making it like a, you know, a fan-flipping drama video, and I'm like, oh, and this, and that, and whatever, right? Like, I feel like it has to be discussed in a very sensitive way, because these are people that have been victimized and are going through trauma again by having to relive this all again. And I think that's one thing that we don't talk a lot about, you know? When you talk about, like, any situation that anybody has gone through that's traumatic, that when you talk about it again, and you talk about it again, and you talk about it again, and you talk about it again, it's like you have to relive that trauma over and over and over again, you know? And I can remember I was watching this true crime documentary, and this is probably a really poor analogy, but I'm going to use it. I was watching this true crime documentary about the Ken and Barbie murders in Canada, right? And if you have ever watched the documentary called Don't F With Cats, they reference these two serial killers, this man and woman serial killer that would take women and they would kidnap them and then they killed them. And there was a part in there where there were a lot of videotapes of things that occurred, of the abuse, right? And the mother of this one girl petitioned to the court to have these VCR documents or VCR tapes destroyed, because she said that every time they were viewed in a court case or anybody could look at them, an investigator or whatever, it was her daughter having to, even though her daughter had since passed, it was her daughter having to relive that trauma over again. It was the trauma having to be recreated over and over and over again. And so she wanted those videotapes destroyed. She wanted them gone, right? And you know, it was a really interesting point to me when I saw that, because I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, you know, that for the victim, they're reliving this trauma over and over and over again. And so I will say this, first and foremost, to Adam and to the other people that are part of this, because Adam is sharing. You can go to Adam's videos. You can also go to his Twitter. He is resharing and retweeting a lot of people that are coming out and sharing their stories of what their experience was like with Colleen Ballinger. I just hope for all of you guys that you're taking care of yourself, because I can't even imagine what it's like to go through this, okay? So the reason why I was waiting to kind of make this video was because I was waiting until Colleen hopefully came out and responded to this, because then I was going to just do one whole video talking about the whole thing. I didn't want to, like, you know, do all this kind of stuff. The other reason was something I have worked on the last couple years is to be responsive instead of reactionary. And had I got on, you know, the second that I saw Adam start talking about this, I didn't want to get in and get like super heated and angry and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff and turn it into drama that was unnecessary. I wanted to be more responsive in what I was talking about, because like I said, I think it's a very sensitive topic. I also, to some degree, and this is where I kind of went back and forth with not being sure whether or not I should cover this, when I was getting a lot of comments on my videos. Are you going to talk about the Colleen Ballinger Adam thing? Are you going to talk about the Colleen Ballinger thing, you know? It's no mystery to people that they know I'm a drama channel, right? I didn't want to turn it into drama. Like, I didn't want to make it, because it is such a serious topic, I didn't want to turn it into just another drama video that I throw out there. I felt like it deserved to have sensitivity around it and to be talked about in a sensitive way. And to be honest with you, I didn't really know how to do that. And I really didn't know that my opinion on a situation like this, which my opinion, to be honest with you, is very short, why my opinion is any different than what anybody else's opinion is out there or should be, like, in watching all this go down, okay? Number one, I will say this. The fact that it has been 3 or 4 days now and Colleen Ballinger has not come out and responded to this is baffling to me, okay? She needs to sit down and she needs to do it in a video where she has made her coin, not in a Twitter statement, not in an Instagram story. She needs to sit down in a YouTube video, okay? And she needs to talk about what has happened. And she needs to address Adam and the other people that have been involved in this situation. I think that she's trying to figure out how she's going to do this, because she knows at some point she's going to have to continue to do this. She cannot just continue. I mean, she and Trisha Paytas on their podcast, Adam showed this in his video, are like deleting comments and whatever. Okay, so Colleen has time to delete comments. She's blocking people on her Twitter, on and on and on. But she doesn't have time, and blocking people apparently on Instagram and other things, but she doesn't have time to come out with a statement and actually address these allegations that she's being accused of. Like, to even get in a video and I mean, if it's not true, then get in a video and say it's not true. There's nothing true to this, right? Or come out and explain, which I don't know how she's going to do that when, like, there is so much factual evidence that literally shows her name and, like, all these DMs, you know, and all of these group chats and on and on and on. I don't know how she's going to be able to explain all this away, and I think she probably knows that. So I think that what she's trying to do is what a lot of YouTubers do, is just to act like it's not here, it's not happening, whatever. Do I believe that she's probably with legal, being like, I am screwed, I really need to figure out, like, how to do the best thing? She's probably got PR managers, image consultants, and lawyers dealing with this. When you've got Adam Mcintyre, who's a 20-year-old kid sitting in an apartment trying to figure out how to put all this truth out there in the world and be validated, that seems a little like a power differential that's still unfair to me, if you want to know the truth, okay? So that Colleen Ballinger is going to come out and she's going to address this when it's okay for her to, right? No, I think it's time for Colleen Ballinger to come out and address this. I think today it's now. It's too late, honestly. It's been 3 or 4 days. So that's the first thing I want to say. The other thing I want to say is, in the past, I have been a supporter of Colleen Ballinger. I did like her character Miranda Sings, and I did watch her show on Netflix, you know, and Colleen and I had interchanges. None of them were inappropriate, but, you know, interchanges, just a few, on DMs on Twitter way back in the day and things like that. I think I congratulated her on her Netflix series and things like that. It was very brief. I don't even remember, honestly. I have come out in videos and I have said that whether it's somebody like Stevie Nicks or whoever I love, if they come out and they do something that I can no longer stand behind and justify, I cannot stand behind that person. And I've made that very clear. I've said in videos, I do not understand people that will that continue to stand behind people like Jaclyn Hill, like I just said this yesterday, on and continue to endorse them, seeing that they do these certain things like that. Not that I'm comparing Jaclyn Hill to what Colleen Ballinger has done. I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm using her as an example because I just talked about this in my video yesterday. I do not understand how people stand by and act like they do not see what these people are doing and they continue to support them. And I've said that when people come out and they do those things, like for example, I was a lover of Roseanne back in the day. Roseanne came out and did a lot of things that were inexcusable. At that point was when I stopped being a supporter of Roseanne, okay? Well, when this happened, that was when I stopped being a supporter of Colleen Ballinger. I have unfollowed her on all social media. I will not be watching her videos anymore. I cannot support her anymore. You know, it's for me, it's when enough truth comes out, it's like, okay, you have to stare the truth in the face and be like, this is who this person is. And unless she wants to come out and she wants to tell the truth on all this, which, like I said, I don't know how she's going to do that, it's going to be interesting to see how she handles this whole situation. But like I believe, right, that she's got enough money and enough power and lawyers and image consultants and public or PR people that are in the background and they're trying to figure out how to save Grace and control this whole situation, right? So she's more concerned with coming out and addressing her audience and addressing her fans that have paid for meet and greets and put money in her pockets and allowed her to live this luxurious life all these years. And those are the fans that have truly, many of them, been victimized by her. And she is more concerned with blocking them, asking questions, and deleting comments than she is in coming out and actually addressing them. I think that alone says a lot to the character of Colleen Ballinger, whether or not you believe what's going on or not, okay? That alone says something to that. So I just want to say, I woke up to this tweet today, and I was getting tagged in it. Hold on a second. The tweet is by Adam Mcintyre, and I was tagged in this by several people. And the tweet says, why are no drama commentary channels, minus Rich Lux, Tea Time, and Marky, discussing the Colleen Ballinger or the Colleen situation in videos? They all made excessive videos on it in 2020 when I was the villain. Why not tell the true story now? Okay, so when I read this tweet, I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to talk about this video. Like, I think it's, or to talk about this in a video. I think it's time for me to come out and address this and, you know, share my opinion and on and on and on, right? But I have to say, I was not anybody that came out in 2020 and talked about this situation. I didn't make any videos about it. I didn't talk about it that I believe. I don't remember talking about this in videos. I may have referenced it from time to time, but I don't even think I did that. I don't even think, because I didn't really, to be honest with you, until this came up just recently, I didn't really know about it. Like, I knew that there had been all this stuff that had happened between Adam and Colleen in the past, but I didn't really know a lot of the specifics about it. I hadn't watched the videos from back in the day until just recently. I didn't really know a lot about it. I knew that Colleen had come out and she had kind of made some piss-ass apology video and all this kind of stuff, and I knew that a lot of people had supported Colleen and that Adam was made out to be the bad guy in the situation, you know, all this time ago. So I sat around this morning, or after the tweet came out, and I was like, okay, I need to make this video. I don't really know what to do, but I want to reach out to Adam first, because if there are certain things that he's wanting to bring attention to or get support on, I want him to let me know what that is so that I can say that in the video, right? Because I do believe that Adam deserves support in this situation, which I think is why, you know, a lot of people are like, why are you guys amping this up? Why are you trying to bring so much attention to this? Because I think that Adam, I think his end game is he wants there to be some conclusive situation that happens with Colleen. I think he wants her to be held accountable. I really do believe that's what he wants, but I could be wrong, and I don't want to be putting words in Adam's mouth. So I reached out to Adam, and like I said, he said that I could read these on video. So let me get into this. Hold on just a second. So I reached out to Adam, and I said, hey, Adam, I wanted to reach out to you personally before talking about it in a video. I saw you post today that you don't understand why drama channels aren't addressing your situation in videos. First, I want to say I'm happy for you that you are getting the validation you have sought all these years. I am sorry though that you have to relive the trauma, and I'm sure it's super difficult no matter the gain. I know you're alone dealing with this, as you've said online, and I hope you peace and the support you're receiving. I think you know I don't love covering these dark topics, but I think it's important in this case. In all honesty, I was waiting to see if Colleen responded to you before addressing it. Is there anything specifically you'd like me to address or that you specifically want support on? Also, and this may not be what you need to hear, but I have found personally therapy has really helped me weed through stuff in my life. I might suggest trying to find someone to talk to if you haven't already to talk to for support, because he'd been putting up there a lot online that he's alone and he's just with his dogs and cats and things like that, and I was worried about him. Just a suggestion. Anyway, I just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you and hope the best for you. And Adam responded and said, oh my God, hey, no, my tweet was so generalized because my Discord has been saying that nobody except for like Marky and Tea Time were covering it. And you know I watch your videos and you talk about the James Charles stuff and how you don't like covering that because it's heavy, which I completely get and actually agree with, and how Drama Channel started as a shady tweet back and forth, etc. So I promise you it was not directed at you in any way, shape, or form, and I truly mean that. I really appreciate you reaching out. It's a lot and very stressful, and I didn't ask for anything to be brought up, but after Cody's video bringing the sexual DMs, it made me have to respond for better or for worse. The tweet was mainly at how many people covered my video in the space in 2020 against me and sided so heavily with Colleen and dogpiled against me. So when I showed proof, they didn't even hear me out again to clarify it was not centered in any way to be directed at you or actually directed at anybody, but just how many discussed my 2020 within hours of it. And I responded and said, gotcha. I'm not concerned at all about the tweet. I think it's totally fair that people are asking why more people aren't talking about it. Are talking about this. I just wanted to come to you personally and explain, but I'm going to address it today because it's been several days and she hasn't responded. And then I said, also, do you care if I read our exchange in the video to just give some clarification? He said, of course, Peter, and thank you for even considering covering it. I really appreciate it. And I said, also, don't ever forget that if this gets to be too much, it's okay to step away for a while and take care of yourself. People will be here to listen when you come back. Please make sure to take care of yourself. And he said, thank you so much, Peter. It really means a lot. And I mean that, thank you. And I said, of course. Because I've had tough times on YouTube. And I think one of the hardest things for me that I had to learn in therapy and from other people that I had around me at the time was it's okay for me to turn off the phone and say, okay, I've had enough for 3 or 4 hours. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to watch a TV show. I'm going to take some time off. Because it can be a little hardcore when you're constantly, you know, on watching all this. And that's my concern for Adam. And that's my concern for the other people involved too, is that they're not only reliving this trauma, but it's like, it's so much at this point. There's so much. And every time I get on Twitter, it's like somebody else will say, well, I've got more, receipts. And somebody else will say, well, I've got more receipts. And I've got more receipts. And I think that's the thing that, like, even just like the word receipts to me is like, it's like such a drama word. I mean, we came up with that word 5 years ago. It all started when I was doing, drama way back in 2016. The reason that the word receipts came up was because of Whitney Houston in the Diane Sawyer interview where she was being asked about crack cocaine, and she said, where are the receipts? I want to see the receipts, basically from the drug dealer. And so now we're referring to DMs and group chat notes from Colleen Ballinger speaking inappropriately, allegedly, to minors as receipts. Okay, these are not receipts. This is much more serious than that, right? And I'm not dogging anybody that's calling them that. Like, I understand why that's the language that we use today, but I think that's part of my concern, is that I don't want to minimize the severity of this by just making it a drama video, because I think in my history, okay, of covering things like this on YouTube, and if you even want to reference James Charles and that situation, I think part of the problem has been is that we have turned it into drama, which has become in result entertainment, which has minimized the severity of what has happened, okay, and that is part of my concern. So what do I think about this at the end of the day? Well, at the end of the day, number one, I hope that Adam and the other people that were directly affected by Colleen take care of themselves, take good care of themselves, are surrounded by people that really care about them and love them and get the help that they need, okay? There is no shame in going and talking to somebody about what you lived through. And when I was watching Adam's video, and there was a point when he was talking about how Colleen would say to him situations about, I can't see if I don't have my reading glasses on, but I think my camera's about to stop, so hold on a second. Okay, but he was talking about a part where he was like on a family vacation in California, and he was taking pictures of himself, and like, she was seeing him, and she was sending him messages saying something about, I don't know, like how thin he was and things like that, and he talked about how he was still to this day like, I think almost the exact quote. He said something about trying to replicate the body of a 15-year-old at 20. And he said, and there's no way a 20-year-old can look like a 15-year-old. And I thought, I mean, when you're talking about deep-seated body dysmorphia related to interactions that you had with I mean, that is like a traumatic experience of its own, right? Like, that is like, I mean, I think about, and this is no comparison, right? But like, I think about like my very like first boyfriend that I ever had that was like not a nice person. And we were riding down an escalator and he looked at me, and I was at the time about 145 pounds, okay? Just to put this in perspective, I am today about 205 pounds, 204 pounds, right? And I'm heavy today, but I've lost some weight. But at that time, I was like 145 pounds, same height that I am today. And he looked at me with his friend and he goes, look at how bottom heavy he is. When I look in the mirror today, I still hear that. That has affected me all of these years. I'm going to be 51 at the end of this month. That was when I was 20, 21 years old. And I still hear that 31 years later, okay? Look at how big his butt is, right? Like how bottom heavy he is. I still hear that to this day, right? And so when I look in the mirror, I think it doesn't really matter how much weight you're ever going to lose, you're always going to have a big butt. Like, I always think about that, right? And so when I heard Adam say that in the video, I was like, it was so triggering to me. It was so like, oh my God, like, I so get that. Like, how somebody's, even like their smallest words can really affect you. So I really hope that the people that have gone through this, not just Adam, but everybody, are really taking care of themselves. That's the first thing. That's the first thing I really care about. And the first thing I think is the most important, right? Because this is what's going to happen eventually. Colleen is either going to come out and address it or she's not going to address it, okay? Whatever's going to happen, what road it's going to take, they can continue to call these people out forever and forever and forever. But there is going to become a point in time when at some point this dies down, okay? And it's not this hot of a story that it is today. And that's another thing, calling it a story, right? Like, it's not getting the traction that it's getting, right? And then what ends up happening is it's Adam alone in an apartment dealing with all that he's gone through and all this and all of the people that were in the group chats and all of the people that were going through all this that are retweeting out there, when they're not having that traction anymore and they're not having the conversations and they don't have anybody, you know? I don't know, like, it's sad to me. I mean, and that's where I think that the validation is important, but I hope that you guys are getting the support that you need. I really, really do, from other people around you, and that's where I suggested to Adam, maybe find somebody to go talk to. It's only helped me. You know, there was a point when my therapist said to me, how many times a day do you need to get on Twitter to go look for drama? And I said once or twice. And he goes, okay, you're going to get on Twitter once or twice a day and we're going to time it out when it's going to be, because it's too toxic for you. It's not healthy. And that was when I started back in the day retweeting like countdown to Christmas and countdown to Halloween, because I just couldn't, it was too toxic for me to be on it. It was like I was on it 24 hours a day. It was too much. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, you know? And there's no shame in that, right? So that's the first thing I think about. I mostly think about the people that have been affected by this. Number two, Colleen, you need to come out and address this, okay? You're a grown-ass woman. You've had no problem addressing other situations in your past. You've had no problem, apparently, taking all of your life issues to these people in group chats and into DMs and whatever, okay? You need to come out and address it publicly, okay? And I know that what she's afraid to do is address this publicly because it's going to bring more attention to it. Because as soon as Colleen posts a video talking about addressing the truth or addressing the allegations or being silenced or whatever she calls her video, okay? You know, like whatever she wants to call it, she knows that video is going to get millions and millions of views. And it's going to bring all this attention on her, and she doesn't want that attention right now. She wants this just to go away. Well, this is not going away, Colleen, okay? It's just not. People are not going to forget about what happened, you know? Nor should they. And, you know, there's a lot of conversations out there that, like, if this were a man, that, you know, they would be deplatformed, and that because it's a woman, she's getting away with all of this, which I think is a fair conversation. I really do, you know? But I also think that it's almost like to me, to be honest with you, to this day, James Charles getting in a video, his taking accountability video, where he owned that he was having those conversations, I'm today baffled by that. Like, I am baffled by that, right? Like, I'm so confused to this day why, like, he is still getting 1 million views a video. It's, like, unbelievable to me, right? And it's unbelievable to me that people know this is going on, and yet they're going to Trisha and Colleen's podcast, and they're tipping money or whatever they're doing, and, you know, commenting and all this kind of stuff, and they don't take any issue with this at all, right? And I guess my thing would be, is like, let's take this off of YouTube. Let's take this off of, you know, the internet. Let's take this off of a celebrity for a second. If this were in your neighborhood, if this were in your family, if this were somebody that you knew, are you telling me you wouldn't have an issue with it? Because you would. You would have an issue with it. Period. End of story, you know? So I'm baffled about the whole situation. Will I address it again? I probably will address it again when Colleen actually comes out and does something about it. And I will respond to it. And I hope to not respond to it in a drama-driven way. I hope to have a, you know, a thoughtful conversation about what's going on. But at the end of the day, for me, and just seeing it, I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes I can't even go through my Twitter feed because there is just, it's one tweet after another, after another, after another about this situation. What I really, really hope, okay, and I think that just one part of this is the vindication and the validation that these people are getting, that they, A, were not alone, and that B, that they were used, and that C, that, you know, there's certain words that YouTube doesn't like, so I'm not going to say it, but all these allegations, right, that they're getting validation for the fact of what they went through, right? And I think that's just one part of this. But the second part of that is that you're reliving this trauma, which is extremely painful, and it's extremely dark, and it's extremely difficult, and I just want the best for all of you out there, and I hope that you're taking care of yourselves, you know? Because it can feel amped up and feel, you know, like, I didn't get a lot of this, and this is, like I said again, this is no comparison, you know? But when I came against the masses, and I called Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star's palette a cash grab, people literally came for me. You know, you want to talk about the villain, okay? I had friends of mine calling me that are other YouTubers that said, how dare you come for Shane Dawson? How dare you say this about this being a cash grab, right? Flash forward 3 years. I mean, I had so many people that in my videos said, I'm unsubscribing to you. I can't believe you said this about Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson's such a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. 3 years later, Shane Dawson is canceled and... you know, like, everybody's calling his palette a cash grab and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, this is not on the level of seriousness. This is a situation with Adam Mcintyre and Colleen Ballinger. I'm just sharing this, right? I very, very rarely get comments from people that say, Peter, you were right, and I was wrong in that situation. And I just want you to know I've come back and I've resubscribed because what you said at that time was what you believed to be honestly true. And I appreciate it now, but it took time for me to realize that. Thank you for being honest at that time and telling your truth. Those comments, the very few that I get, are so validating to me, you know? And the thing is I understand why Adam and all the others need this validation. I get it, right? But the flip side of that is you still live through the trauma, okay? And that's going to still be with you forever. So please take care of yourselves. Please make sure that you're doing everything possible to be kind to yourselves, to be compassionate to yourselves. You know, and I hope that you get everything that you're looking for. I really do. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. And like I said, if Colleen comes out and she makes a response video, I will respond to it and tell you guys what I think. Other than that, I do not plan on making any more videos talking about every receipt and everything. There's a lot. And I really think that, and this is most important to me, I really think the most important people to hear it from are the people that lived through it. And that would be Adam and the other people that he is retweeting that are sharing their things with him, and the other people that have, you know, shared the pictures of the group chats and things like that. I think their stories are the ones that are important, not me getting in a video and sharing what I think about it. So anyway, just let me know what you think about it in the comment section below if you so care to do that. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.